Have you ever wondered what it was like to live in an era when building a house was a groundbreaking innovation? Picture yourself in a time when the simple act of constructing walls and a roof was as revolutionary as launching a spacecraft is today. Close your eyes and transport yourself back roughly 12,000 years to a moment when our ancestors made a decision that would forever alter the course of human history. For countless generations before, humans roamed the earth as nomads, following herds and seasonal patterns. Then something remarkable happened. In various corners of the world, our ancestors began to do something unprecedented. They stopped wandering. They chose specific locations and decided to stay put. This wasn't just about finding shelter, it was about reimagining the very essence of human existence. These pioneers of settled life were about to embark on one of humanity's greatest adventures. They would transform patches of wild land into the first permanent settlements in human history. Every stone laid, every wall raised, every roof constructed was a step into uncharted territory. These weren't just buildings, they were the foundations of an entirely new way of life. In these first Neolithic villages, humanity learned to create something far more significant than mere dwellings. They were building communities. For the first time, different families would wake up each morning to see the same faces, share the same spaces, and work together toward common goals. This was the birth of organized society, as we know it today. This revolution in human living wasn't just about architecture. It was about reimagining human relationships, developing new social structures, and creating the first true neighborhoods in history. It was here, in these humble beginnings, that the concepts of community, cooperation, and shared living spaces first took root. Before we delve deeper into the fascinating story of how humanity's first villages came to be, don't forget to subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more incredible content about our ancestors. Join us on this remarkable journey through time as we explore the moments that shaped who we are today. The Neolithic Revolution stands as one of the most profound transformations in human history, marking a pivotal transition that occurred approximately 12,000 to 10,000 years ago. This period represents far more than a simple change in living arrangements. It was a complete reimagining of human existence that would lay the groundwork for all future civilizations. For over 2 million years, our ancestors had lived as hunter-gatherers, following a nomadic lifestyle dictated by the rhythms of nature. They tracked animal migrations, gathered seasonal plants, and moved with the changing weather patterns. Their entire worldview, their understanding of life itself, was shaped by this constant movement and immediate relationship with their environment. Then, in different regions across the globe, from the Fertile Crescent to East Asia, from Mesoamerica to the Nile Valley, something remarkable began to happen. Human groups started to experiment with staying in one place. This wasn't a sudden change, but a gradual process that occurred over generations, as our ancestors began to recognize the potential benefits of permanent settlement. The catalyst for this transformation was a combination of factors: climate change following the end of the last ice age, the development of early agricultural practices, and possibly population pressures. As temperatures stabilized and became more favorable, humans began to notice that certain plants could be cultivated and specific animals could be domesticated. This shift to sedentary life triggered a cascade of innovations and changes that would fundamentally alter human society. The ability to build permanent structures led to the development of new technologies in construction and materials. The need to store food resulted in the invention of pottery and other storage solutions. The close proximity of different families living together fostered new social structures and hierarchies. The psychological impact of this transformation was equally profound. For the first time in human history, people began to think in terms of property, territory, and long-term planning. The concept of inheritance emerged, as permanent settlements meant that possessions and land could be passed down through generations. Time itself began to be viewed differently, no longer just as a cycle of seasons, but as a linear progression where improvements could be made and maintained. This historical context set the stage for everything that would follow in human development: the rise of cities, the emergence of writing systems, the development of complex religious practices, and ultimately, the formation of the first civilizations. The Neolithic Revolution wasn't just a change in where people lived, it was the foundation upon which all modern human society would be built. The revolutionary aspect of this period cannot be overstated. It transformed not only how humans lived, but how they thought about themselves and their place in the world. It created new forms of social organization, new technologies, new ways of understanding property and ownership, and new relationships between humans and their environment. This was truly the moment when the foundations of our modern world began to take shape. The Neolithic villages marked the first time in human history where different families began living side by side permanently, creating an unprecedented social experiment that would transform human society forever. Picture yourself in these early settlements, where every morning brought familiar faces and shared responsibilities, laying the groundwork for what we now call community life. These first settled communities developed intricate social structures that were remarkably sophisticated for their time. At the heart of this organization was the family unit, but now these families were interconnected in ways never before seen in human history. They created the first true neighborhoods, where people knew their neighbors' names, shared their daily lives, and developed lasting relationships that spanned generations. The social fabric of these communities was woven through cooperative labor groups, each specializing in different but complementary tasks. Some community members became skilled farmers, learning the intricate patterns of planting and harvesting. They developed deep knowledge about soil conditions, weather patterns, and crop cycles. Others became animal herders, mastering the art of domestication and animal husbandry. They learned to breed livestock, predict animal behavior, and maintain healthy herds. Skilled craftspeople emerged within these communities, creating increasingly sophisticated tools and pottery. These artisans passed their knowledge down through generations, developing specialized techniques that would have been impossible in a nomadic lifestyle. The ability to stay in one place allowed them to establish workshops, experiment with different materials, and perfect their craft over time. This specialization of labor created a complex web of interdependence. Farmers relied on craftspeople for tools, while craftspeople depended on farmers for food. Animal herders provided meat and materials like wool and leather, while receiving crops and crafted goods in return. This system of mutual reliance fostered the development of early trade networks and social bonds that strengthened the community. The emergence of permanent settlements also led to the development of new social roles and leadership structures. Community elders began to take on more formalized roles, using their accumulated wisdom to guide decision-making. Religious specialists emerged, helping communities make sense of their changing relationship with the natural world. The first healers established themselves, developing knowledge of medicinal plants that could now be cultivated near their homes. Perhaps most remarkably, these communities developed the first systems of collective support and care. When members of the community fell ill or grew too old to work, others would step in to help. This revolutionary concept of community responsibility for its members' welfare would become a cornerstone of human society, echoing through the millennia to influence our modern social support systems. The Neolithic villages also saw the birth of shared cultural practices. Regular gatherings, celebrations, and ceremonies brought people together, strengthening community bonds and creating shared traditions. These collective experiences helped forge a sense of group identity and belonging that had never existed in quite the same way during the nomadic period. This new way of living together permanently transformed not just how humans organized themselves, but how they thought about themselves and their relationships with others. It created the foundation for all future social developments, from the first cities to our modern global society. The legacy of these first settled communities continues to influence how we live and interact with each other today, reminding us that at our core, humans are social beings who thrive through cooperation and community. Imagine standing before a Neolithic house, witnessing one of humanity's greatest architectural achievements. These first permanent homes were remarkable feats of engineering that showcased our ancestors' ingenuity and understanding of their environment. Built to withstand generations of use, these structures represented a revolutionary leap in human living conditions. The construction methods of these early homes demonstrated sophisticated knowledge of building materials and their properties. Walls were typically created using a carefully planned mixture of mud, straw, and water, known as wattle and daub. This combination created a surprisingly durable material that could withstand various weather conditions. The mud walls were often reinforced with wooden posts, while stone foundations helped protect against ground moisture and flooding. Roofs were masterfully engineered using local materials like timber beams covered with thatch made from reeds or straw. These pitched roofs were designed to channel rainwater away from the walls, protecting the structure's integrity. The thatching technique was so effective that similar methods continued to be used for thousands of years and can still be found in some traditional buildings today. The interior layout of these homes revealed thoughtful planning and an understanding of family needs. The living space was typically divided into distinct functional areas. Sleeping quarters were often slightly elevated to provide protection from ground moisture and pests. Storage areas were strategically placed to keep food supplies safe from rodents and dampness. Cooking areas featured hearths that served multiple purposes, providing warmth, light, and a place to prepare meals. The arrangement of these dwellings within the village showed remarkable urban planning principles. Houses were commonly organized in circular or semicircular patterns around a central communal space. This central plaza served as the heart of community life, hosting gatherings, celebrations, and important discussions. The circular arrangement also provided practical benefits, creating natural windbreaks and making it easier to defend the settlement. Many houses featured innovative ventilation systems. Small openings near the roof allowed smoke from indoor fires to escape while maintaining warmth during colder months. These early architects understood the importance of air circulation and temperature control, creating comfortable living spaces that protected inhabitants from extreme weather conditions. Storage solutions within these homes were ingenious. Underground storage pits lined with clay helped preserve grain and other food supplies. Raised platforms kept valuable items away from moisture and pests. Some homes even featured built-in shelving systems made from a combination of wood and clay, demonstrating an early understanding of furniture design and spatial organization. The size of these dwellings varied, but typically ranged from 20 to 40 square meters, comfortably accommodating extended family units. The rectangular or circular floor plans made efficient use of space while providing enough room for various daily activities. Some larger structures showed evidence of being two-story buildings, with the upper level used for additional storage or sleeping space. The durability of these structures was remarkable. Archaeological evidence shows that many Neolithic houses remained inhabited for multiple generations, with regular maintenance and repairs extending their lifespan. The walls were periodically replastered, and damaged sections were carefully repaired using the same building techniques that had proven effective over time. The entrances to these homes were often oriented to take advantage of natural light and prevailing winds. In colder regions, entrances might face south to maximize solar heat gain, while in warmer areas, they might face the direction of cooling breezes. This understanding of environmental factors demonstrates our ancestors' sophisticated grasp of architectural principles that we still use today. These Neolithic dwellings were more than just shelters. They were the foundation of permanent human settlements and represented a profound shift in how humans related to their environment. They created spaces where families could grow, communities could develop, and cultures could flourish, setting the stage for the development of all future human habitations. If you're enjoying this time travel, leave a like and comment. Which aspect of life in a Neolithic village do you think would be the most challenging? And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel. Dawn in a Neolithic village marked the beginning of a carefully orchestrated symphony of daily activities. As the first rays of sunlight touched the settlement, the community would spring to life in a display of cooperative living that would define human society for millennia to come. The early morning began with the tending of fires, a crucial task that kept the community's hearths burning. Women would typically rekindle the cooking fires, while others would begin the daily food preparation. The morning meal often consisted of porridge made from ground grains, supplemented with whatever seasonal fruits or berries were available. Agricultural work dominated much of the day's activities. Groups would head to the surrounding fields, carrying tools made of wood and polished stone. The farming techniques, though primitive by today's standards, were revolutionary for their time. People worked together to plant seeds, remove weeds, and maintain irrigation systems. They understood crop rotation and soil fertility, knowledge that had been accumulated over generations. Animal husbandry required constant attention throughout the day. Shepherds would lead their flocks to grazing areas, while others tended to animals kept closer to the settlement. The domesticated animals needed regular care. Sheep needed shearing, goats needed milking, and all animals required protection from predators. This continuous care created a deep bond between humans and their domesticated animals. The production of essential tools and implements was a daily necessity. Skilled craftspeople would spend hours knapping flint to create cutting tools, while others would shape wood and bone into various implements. The creation of pottery was particularly important, as ceramic vessels were essential for storing food and water. Potters would carefully prepare clay, shape their vessels, and oversee the crucial firing process. Home maintenance was an ongoing task that required regular attention. Walls needed replastering, roofs required patching, and floors needed sweeping and maintenance. These tasks were often communal activities, with neighbors helping each other to keep their dwellings in good repair. The shared knowledge of building maintenance was passed down through generations. Food preparation was a time-consuming but social activity. Women would gather to grind grain into flour using stone querns, a task that could take several hours each day. Others would preserve foods through drying, smoking, or fermentation. The preparation of meals was often a communal activity, with different households sharing both the work and the results. Textile production occupied a significant portion of daily life. From processing raw materials like wool or flax to spinning threads and weaving fabrics, the creation of clothing and textiles was a complex process that required skill and patience. The development of weaving techniques represented one of the Neolithic period's most significant technological achievements. Children played crucial roles in daily activities, learning vital skills through observation and participation. They would help with smaller tasks like gathering eggs, watching younger siblings, or collecting wild plants. This practical education ensured the transmission of essential knowledge and skills to the next generation. The late afternoon would see people returning from the fields and pastures. This was often a time for communal activities, sharing meals, storytelling, or working on crafts together. The elderly members of the community would pass on their knowledge through stories and practical demonstrations, ensuring the continuation of traditional wisdom. As daylight faded, families would gather around their hearths. Evening activities might include repairing tools, finishing craftwork, or preparing materials for the next day's tasks. The day would end with the community gathering around fires, sharing stories and strengthening social bonds. Special attention was paid to seasonal activities. During harvest times, the entire community would work together to gather and process crops. Similarly, specific times of the year were dedicated to activities like sheep shearing, house repairs, or tool making. This seasonal rhythm created a predictable pattern that helped organize community life. The success of daily life in Neolithic villages depended entirely on cooperation and mutual support. Every member of the community, from the youngest to the oldest, played a vital role in maintaining this delicate balance of tasks and responsibilities. This intricate web of daily activities and social interactions would lay the groundwork for all future human settlements and communities. The transition to sedentary life presented our Neolithic ancestors with unprecedented challenges that sparked remarkable innovations. Each obstacle they faced catalyzed creative solutions that would fundamentally shape human civilization for millennia to come. Food storage and preservation emerged as one of the most pressing challenges. The seasonal nature of agriculture meant communities needed to preserve food for extended periods. In response, they developed sophisticated storage solutions. Elevated granaries were constructed on posts to protect grain from moisture and rodents. These structures incorporated clever ventilation systems to prevent mold growth while protecting the precious harvest from rain and flooding. They pioneered various food preservation techniques that we still use today. Smoking meat and fish over controlled fires not only preserved these proteins, but also added new flavors. Salt, when available, became a precious commodity for food preservation. Fermentation was discovered, possibly by accident, leading to the creation of new food products and preservation methods. Underground storage pits, lined with straw and clay, created cool, dry environments that could preserve roots and tubers for months. Crop protection presented another significant challenge. Communities had to defend their fields from wild animals, birds, and insects. They developed sophisticated scarecrows and noise-making devices to deter birds. Fences were constructed using interwoven branches and thorny bushes to keep out larger animals. They also discovered natural pest control methods, learning which plants could repel certain insects when grown alongside crops. The defense of the settlement itself required innovative solutions. Communities developed increasingly sophisticated fortification systems. Defensive walls were constructed using a combination of earth, stone, and wooden palisades. Ditches were dug around settlements, serving both as defensive measures and drainage systems. Strategic placement of settlements on higher ground or near natural barriers like rivers provided additional protection. Water management became crucial for sustained settlement. Communities developed irrigation systems to ensure consistent crop growth. They dug wells and created water storage systems. Drainage channels were constructed to protect homes and fields from flooding. Some settlements even developed basic forms of water purification using sand and gravel filters. Disease control emerged as a new challenge in settled communities. Living in close proximity to others and to domesticated animals created unprecedented health risks. In response, communities developed basic sanitation practices. Waste disposal areas were designated away from living spaces. Some settlements showed evidence of primitive sewage systems. They also discovered medicinal plants and developed early healing practices. Tool innovation accelerated dramatically. New specialized tools were created for specific agricultural tasks. The invention of the plow revolutionized farming capabilities. Potter's wheels appeared, allowing for more efficient ceramic production. Weaving looms became more sophisticated, enabling the creation of increasingly complex textiles. Social organization had to evolve to address new challenges. Communities developed systems for allocating resources and resolving conflicts. Leadership roles emerged to coordinate communal activities and defense. The concept of private property required new social conventions and rules. Trading systems developed to exchange surplus goods with other settlements. Climate adaptation required ongoing innovation. Communities learned to build structures that could withstand local weather conditions. They developed methods to predict weather patterns based on natural indicators. Crop diversification strategies emerged to protect against crop failure. Fire control became essential in settled communities. The risk of fire spreading between closely built structures led to innovations in building materials and design. Communities developed firefighting techniques and preventive measures. The management of communal hearths became a crucial skill. Transportation and communication methods evolved to support settled life. Wheeled vehicles began to appear, revolutionizing the movement of goods. Path networks developed between settlements, leading to the first roads. Systems of markers and signals were developed to communicate between settlements and warn of approaching dangers. These challenges and their innovative solutions laid the groundwork for future technological and social development. Each solution not only addressed immediate needs, but often led to unexpected advances in other areas. The problem-solving capabilities developed during this period demonstrated human ingenuity at its finest and established patterns of innovation that would characterize human progress throughout history. The legacy of these Neolithic innovations continues to influence our world today. Many of the basic principles they discovered in construction, food preservation, social organization, and defense remain relevant in modern society. Their solutions to fundamental human challenges created the foundation upon which all subsequent civilizations would build. In the heart of Neolithic villages, archaeologists have uncovered remarkable evidence of what might be considered humanity's first social security system. These discoveries reveal a compassionate side of our ancient ancestors that challenges our perceptions of prehistoric society. Archaeological excavations across various Neolithic sites have revealed fascinating evidence of individuals who survived severe injuries and disabilities, living well into old age. These findings tell an extraordinary story of community care and social responsibility that emerged over 10,000 years ago. Consider the remarkable case discovered in modern-day Iraq, where archaeologists found the remains of an elderly individual who had survived a severely broken hip. In a time without modern medicine, this injury would have made it impossible for the person to contribute to food gathering or farming. Yet, the bone analysis showed they survived for many years after the injury, indicating consistent care from their community members. Similar discoveries have been made across Europe and the Middle East. In what is now Turkey, researchers found evidence of individuals with debilitating arthritis who lived into their 60s and 70s, remarkably old for that period. These people would have required significant daily assistance, suggesting an organized system of community care. The archaeological record shows that these weren't isolated incidents. Across different Neolithic settlements, there's consistent evidence of individuals surviving conditions that would have made independent living impossible. From healed fractures to congenital disabilities, these ancient communities provided long-term care for their vulnerable members. This care system was revolutionary for its time. In previous nomadic societies, it would have been extremely difficult to provide sustained care for individuals who couldn't contribute to the group's survival. The transition to settled life made it possible for communities to support those who needed help, marking one of humanity's first steps toward organized social welfare. Particularly touching are the discoveries of elderly individuals with severe dental, wear, and joint problems who clearly survived long after they could no longer contribute to physical labor. Their survival suggests these ancient communities recognized the value of their elderly members, perhaps as repositories of knowledge and wisdom, worthy of the community's support. The evidence suggests this care wasn't just about physical survival. Many of these individuals were buried with the same care and ritual items as other community members, indicating they remained valued members of society despite their disabilities. This reveals a sophisticated understanding of human worth that went beyond mere productive capacity. These findings revolutionize our understanding of Neolithic society. Far from being primitive survival-focused groups, these communities demonstrated complex social organization and moral values that we might consider surprisingly modern. They understood that a society's strength lies not just in its ability to produce food or build shelters, but in its capacity to care for all its members. This prehistoric social security system laid the groundwork for all future human social welfare systems. When we look at modern social support structures, we're seeing the evolution of a concept that began in these first settled communities, where our ancestors first realized that the true measure of a society might be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members. Reflect for a moment. What does it say about human nature that one of our first innovations after settling down was creating a system to care for those who needed help? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The next time you glance out your window at the bustling neighborhood around you, take a moment to marvel at the extraordinary journey that brought us here. Every aspect of modern community life, from the houses lining your street to the shared spaces where children play, traces its origins back to a revolutionary moment in human history, when our ancestors first dared to put down roots and build permanent homes. These Neolithic villages were far more than just collections of buildings or early farming experiments. They were the laboratories where humanity first tested the very concepts that define our society today. The first property lines were drawn, the first neighborhoods established, and the first community gatherings organized. These settlements were where humans first learned to live together in large groups, solving the complex social puzzles that we still grapple with today. When you see neighbors helping neighbors, children playing together in parks, or community events bringing people together, you're witnessing the echo of those first Neolithic innovations. The basic principles of community life, cooperation, shared resources, mutual support, and collective problem-solving, were all pioneered in these ancient villages. The Neolithic Revolution wasn't just about learning to grow food or build permanent structures. It was about reimagining what it meant to be human. It was in these villages that we first developed the social skills, cultural practices, and community values that would shape all future human societies. From the first cities of antiquity to our modern metropolitan areas, every human settlement since is built upon the foundation laid by these pioneering communities. As we face modern challenges of urban planning, community development, and social organization, the lessons learned by our Neolithic ancestors remain surprisingly relevant. They remind us that successful communities are built not just with bricks and mortar, but with cooperation, mutual understanding, and shared purpose. So the next time you participate in a community event, share a meal with neighbors, or simply walk down your street, remember that you're participating in a tradition that began thousands of years ago, when our ancestors first discovered the extraordinary power of living together in permanent communities. If this journey through humanity's first communities has captured your imagination, don't keep this fascinating story to yourself. Hit that like button to help more people discover the amazing origins of our society. Share this video with friends and family who would appreciate this remarkable story of human innovation. And make sure to subscribe to our channel for more incredible content about humanity's greatest adventures. Click that notification bell to ensure you don't miss our next episode, where we'll explore another fascinating chapter in the human story. Until then, keep wondering, keep learning, and keep connecting with your own community. See you in our next historical adventure.